Welcome to Tuesday. It's the 22nd day of the second month of the 22nd year of the year 2000. There's a mouthful of twos in there, isn't there? It's being brought to you by Chugwater Chili, the gourmet spice of Western life. Don't forget to use Chugwater Down at checkout and get 20% off at chugwaterchili.com. Check out their green chili seasoning. It's quick, it's easy to make. It's great, especially in the weather like we're getting right now. Go to chugwaterchili.com and get 20% off. Well, I think that's just a great way to describe the weather across the Intermountain West is brr. The Arctic air is going to dominate, and there's really no change. This Arctic air mass for the next 3 days is going to be solid and deep right on top of us. While there may be some very modest moderation in temperatures by Friday and the weekend, it's going to be a slow process to get out of this. We're not going to warm up real quick. It's going to be a slow process. We have another round of snow coming. This is going to be especially true for the central and southern Rockies. That snow will develop later today, tonight, and Wednesday. We'll show you where. Sub-zero temperatures, sub-zero wind chills through Friday over most of the Rockies and high plains. Temperatures moderating slowly this weekend. We're looking at maybe a break in the weather this weekend and the next week. There's one little system that's going to come through Monday and Tuesday, but we don't see anything major next week. However, we're watching for the potential of another larger western storm by next weekend. The weekend of the 5th is a weekend we're going to need to keep an eye on. The upper level trough today showing the deep low centering itself over the northern Great Basin, and then the Arctic air is just pouring on into this green area here, and will make more of a push south later today and tonight. Now this upper low right here is going to swing down to near the Four Corners area and is going to make it snow again across the central and southern Rockies. These are temperatures relative to the 30-year normals by later this afternoon. This is for 5 p.m. today. The Arctic air is now pushing into Texas. It's now moving into the upper Midwest, the northwestern areas of the Corn Belt. So here we are with another Arctic outbreak here as we go to the end of February. You can see that the purple is staying east of the divide. So that's where the severe cold is, east of the divide. West of the divide, though, that colder air is leaking on in. Now, this is by noon tomorrow. Here's that upper level low, going to be near Las Vegas. It's going to swing through here, and the counterclockwise flow, the counterclockwise spin of air around that low is going to drop some higher humidity air from the south. This is called overrunning. So the moist, warmer air overruns the Arctic air on the surface, and you're going to get some snowfall. So just imagine by tomorrow afternoon, the upper level low here, and then that warmer, moist air comes up over the purple here, the Arctic air, and that's what's going to feed in and develop the snowfall. And this is what the second round of snowfall looks like through Friday morning. The high country of Colorado, the Four Corners area, the Wasatch, getting back into the northern mountains of Arizona, back into the Sierras, and even, look at this, look how far south the snow is going to go into Southern California. This will be the round 2. Mainly developing tonight, tomorrow, through tomorrow afternoon and evening. So there's going to be a strip of heavier snow here, back into Colorado, back into Utah. The areas up here that got the heavier snow with the first wave will only see light amounts. Up here, the deep Arctic air will really dominate. Now here are temperatures. These are the forecasted low temperatures by tomorrow morning. Again, this is a model with snow on the ground now. These temperatures may actually be too warm. But this is by tomorrow morning. These are wind chills by tomorrow morning. Look at these wind chills up in southern Montana, into the Bighorn Basin of Wyoming, up along the Montana-Wyoming border, into western South Dakota, North Dakota, 30 to 47 below zero with wind chills, minus 30 to nearly 40-degree wind chills across portions of southern Wyoming along the I-80 corridor, the southern counties of Wyoming. Very cold wind chills into western Nebraska. Thursday morning, look at these overnight low temperatures. Look at Sweetwater County, Wyoming, minus 26 around Green River and Rock Springs, minus 29 to near minus 30 up in Grable and Worland. So we're talking about the coldest air of the season. Now temperatures by Thursday. The cold air is getting further into Texas, but we're still in the deep freeze over most of the nation, with the exception of the far south. Most of the nation impacted by this Arctic air, both sides of the divide and really coast to coast. By Saturday, the Arctic air begins to move. This is what's left of the trough. It gets squeezed out and stretched apart a bit, and this is going to push in some warmer Pacific air by the time we get into the weekend. And that's going to lead to a moderation in temperatures. These are temperatures relative to the 30-year normals by Sunday. We got this little tongue here of warmer air coming into British Columbia, Montana, and the Dakotas. Notice the blue and the green here. The reason the cold air stays here, once that cold air gets over the Continental Divide and fills up the basins and the valleys and the canyons, well, it's harder to get out once it gets in. So it's going to be stubbornly cool in this part of the country here, even though we're going to get a little bit of a chinook east of the northern Rockies by later in the weekend and into early next week. What's left of the Arctic air mass kind of settles down into the southern plains, down into the Gulf Coast, giving those folks a very chilly end to February. This is what the precipitation looks like over the next 10 days. Look at the Pacific Northwest. Look at California getting back slowly into the action, as well as the Pacific Northwest into Idaho, even parts of eastern Washington and Oregon, going to get into some snow next week. And we have that better moisture right here with the current event rolling on through. And you can see the 10-day snowfall forecast is a bit more impressive than it's been lately in the west. This is next week. This is for Monday afternoon, first day of March, into Tuesday, which is Tuesday of next week. We have a small little wave right here that's going to come through the Rockies. It's going to produce some mountain snow Monday into Tuesday, but notice the general flow with the air with it is not out of the Arctic. It's a Pacific wave. So it's not going to be a big weather maker. It may end up being a bigger weather maker as it heads east. But that means we're going to get into this weekend and early next week with a bit of a break. But here we go by next weekend. This is by Saturday afternoon the 5th into Sunday morning the 6th. We've got another low near Las Vegas headed towards the Four Corners area. Like we said yesterday, we'll put a question mark on this one. Not sure this will come to fruition, but I do think next weekend there's some type of storm that's going to come through the western United States, the Rockies, and the western high plains. Whether or not it's an intense early March storm or not, we'll watch it. We'll keep an eye on it for you. But that's the next sort of time frame we're keeping an eye on for the next major weather maker. One thing to show you about how things are getting really crazy out there, this is the Eastern Pacific Oscillation predicted by the European model. Sometimes we show you these oscillations just to show you the activity in the Pacific and how that affects the weather later on. Notice the prediction of it to be extremely negative as we go into the first 10 days of March here. A negative Eastern Pacific Oscillation is a very stormy signal for the entire lower 48 states and parts of Canada. So as we get into March, if this indeed happens, we see this oscillation go into this deep negative territory. Well, as we alluded to late last week and yesterday, it does look like March should be a fairly active month weather-wise. Stay warm, folks. Dangerously cold temperatures and wind chills are here for another 3 to 4 days. Have yourself a good Tuesday.